All right, how's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Tuesday. It is the Earthmaster out here, about 11:38 a.m. That's California time, January 14th, 2025. By the way, the member drawing is being held tomorrow. Jump on board and become a member today for extra videos, perks, and monthly drawings, which will be held tomorrow here. Win some cash prizes. Latest activity here on the Earthquake 3D Globe shows a 2.1 into Alaska. That's one of the latest. California is starting to light up out here across the northern end as well this morning. One of the latest quakes here, 2.4 in the last 20 minutes or so at the southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone. Got a little sequence of events stirring up out here, about 13 miles deep here into this region. Also one earthquake underneath this area of Klamath, California, that's associated with the Cascadia subduction zone at 17 miles deep here. So a handful of elevated seismic activity out here today. I'm kind of curious to see what the tremor activity may look like later this evening. It's probably somewhat amplified out here across this area. Either way, things starting to stir up out here today in Northern California. Around the Bay Area, a couple more earthquakes as well, including a 2.2. The region of San Francisco here on the San Andreas Fault, adding a few more quakes to this ongoing sequence of events as well. Got about 13 earthquakes here on the San Andreas Fault, or just off the San Andreas Fault here in the last week, with the latest being a smaller quake, a 2.2, early this morning, about 10 o'clock or so. Largest so far, a 3.5. So a little bit of movement there on the San Andreas Fault and the Bay Area as a whole. Continue to keep an eye here on the West Coast for some further movement out here. Southern California, as you can see there, a handful of smaller quakes. Really nothing big. One earthquake above the 2.5 level. That's going to be a 2.7 down here on the San Jacinto Fault Zone. No major earthquake activity here to report across Southern California now. And if you look at the seismograph stations down there, it's pretty quiet. Barrett Parkfield area right here is quiet as well. Most of the movement today looks like it's confined to Northern California here, so keep an eye there on the Cascadia. Through the Pacific Northwest, as you can see there, a couple smaller earthquakes, including one up around Mount St. Helens. Not for sure why that's set at a 0. Maybe they haven't discovered the magnitude yet, but couple smaller quakes up through the Cascades and some of the volcanoes. Nothing of any noteworthy value, though. Through Yellowstone National Park, nothing going on, but I do want to give just a quick overview here, see what we have for earthquake activity, and there's not a whole lot. I'm tempted to really not even cover Yellowstone right now because there's every time I check it, there's no earthquake activity, no swarming, no unusual movement, which is good, right? It's a super volcano, but it's been awfully quiet out here in terms of any type of activity. All right, moving on here through the area of the oil fields out in Texas, still getting hit out here. Western Texas, Odessa, outside of Pecos, Texas as well. A lot of big-time oil fields out there in the Permian Basin region. And, of course, there are great new ones all the time. Earthquakes there are in the forecast pretty much for years to come across those areas. Some of them can get pretty big out there as well. The majority of the earthquakes that occur in the oil fields run between 2 and 3 magnitude level. But occasionally we get an upper 4 or even a lower 5 out there on occasion. 513 earthquakes in the last 30 days there across various oil fields of Texas and up into Oklahoma as well. The New Madrid seismic zone, pretty quiet. Not a whole lot happening out there for now. A look at the last 24 hours here of earthquake activity shows the largest earthquake so far today, a 5.7 coming in within the last half hour out in the central mid-Atlantic ridge boundary. Separation out here. A spreading seafloor center, obviously, slowly through time. Aside from that, I don't see a whole lot of activity across the Atlantic. Some movement stirring up there into Iceland, as noted. A lot of this from last night. Got a pretty decent earthquake swarm up there across one of the volcanoes or the rift boundary up here, including a 5.2. As you can see, that was just after midnight. Let me see if I can bring up the the earthquake activity there across the region. Looks like some more fours out there across this rift boundary. A pretty good earthquake swarm stirring up out here. Let's see. 4.8 is the largest. Still fairly deep. Looks like we may be getting some type of... where'd I go? There we go. Across this area. I don't know. Oh, it's matching the earthquakes there on the right side. But it looks like some volcano over here is starting to get amplified. Looks like the Barabunga is up around the yellow area. Yellow status. Activity is high. Last eruption for this volcano region was back in 2014. It is effusive explosive type volcano, which can last up to, it says hours to weeks for explosive, and the effusive there weeks to months. So I'm not for sure if we're going to see some activity stirring up out here. I mean, it looks like it. Definitely got a pretty good earthquake swarm stirring up out here. And the depths, though, are fairly deep. So maybe some type of magma intrusion out here across that rift boundary coming up. Anyway, we'll continue to check back on that. Another 2.9 out there. I don't think we got anything. Let me check here for the latest information. It's been a little while since I've checked Iceland activity out here. Let's check. Powerful earthquake swarm in the Barabunga began this morning. The largest earthquake was a 5.1. Looks like about 130 earthquakes have been recorded since this morning. The most powerful earthquake swarm since 2014 when the this volcano erupted. But most of this struck at midnight my time here, so almost about 12 hours ago. It looks like as of 9 a.m. local time, the intensity of the tremors decreased significantly. According to these folks, it's unclear whether the surge is fading or will pick back up again. So a little pause. Looks like yellow still for the aviation color code. The volcano is unusually large, and there are many scenarios for possible development. All right, we'll continue to check back on that. See if anything changes out there. What do we got here? Some type of glacier disturbance. Let's see here. All right. Well, we'll definitely check back on that here. Don't want to get too much offset on that activity. Either way, a decent earthquake swarm early this morning. Since then has calmed down, according to the Icelandic Meteorological Office there. Let's see what else. We got some Japan activity stirring up here today as well. We're on the KLCam chat. Got a couple earthquakes out here. Nothing going on yet across the Nankai Trough. Still watching that region here for some further larger movement. Subduction zone there. The KLCam chat got a couple fours out there today. And from yesterday, got the Aleutian Trench stirring up some activity this morning. Nothing big. Looks like a little 3.9 so far today across that general area. Taking a look here at the earthquake 3D globe. New Zealand. I mean, just typical threes down there. No major earthquake activity to report. Looks like there was another 5-pointer there across the Japan area this morning. In the same place that seen some activity here yesterday. Early yesterday. That's why it's not showing up on the 24-hour map, because it was previous to that. That's at 6.8 that stirred up out there early yesterday morning. Still watching the Nankai Trough. There's a segment over here, section E, that has not seen a rupture since I think it was 1854, 1856, somewhere around there. The last rupture here of a couple different segments was back in 1944. I've covered this quite a bit there last night. Either way, this whole region needs to be watched. Its reoccurrence interval time is near, and it's been a little while since segment E over here had a rupture. Let's see what else we got. Hawaii, not a whole lot happening out there for now. Just a couple smaller earthquakes. Looks like a mixed bag from yesterday and today. Some further movement out here in the East Pacific Rise early this morning. A little fracture boundary out here. Go far fracture zone. Most of the time when this takes place here, we'll watch for elevated activity out here, and it looks like a couple hours later, following this event, an earthquake there in Ecuador, putting the strain out here against the subduction zone. 93 mile deep, 4.2 into that trench zone. So things starting to stir back up out here across South America. Looks like there was a couple earthquakes here following that event. Ethiopia rift boundary. Some older movement from yesterday. Looks like there may be one from today as well. 4.9 is the latest quake here. About 7 o'clock my time, local time, in the Rift Valley. Still under the weather, folks. I'm trying to get better. I mean, I feel a little bit better, but my voice may not sound like it. I know it doesn't sound like it because it's just, it's not there. And I still have to have a cough drop here to prevent the throat from getting super itchy. But I've been trying all these home remedies and everything else that's going on, taking some of the advice there of some of the viewers' comments, and I appreciate it. But this here just seems like it needs time to eventually disappear. I tell you what, this winter has been crazy in terms of sickness that's going on. Aside from that, I'm super healthy. It's just whatever's going on here in the air. 131 earthquakes out here in the last month, so pretty decent earthquake swarm there. No volcano eruption. There was that vent steam out here, that steam vent, I should say, a couple weeks back. Stirred up some mud and whatnot from the ground, but haven't been seeing anything of any noteworthy activity out here besides a decent earthquake swarm that's staying consistently about 6 miles underneath this area. Let's see here. Let's check out space weather here real quick. Got a little loop of a filament magnetic area out there on the southeastern limb. So looking at the sunspots here, let's check these out, see what we have. As far as complexity and potential flaring activity, I'm really not concerned with any of these that are currently facing the Earth, or even this area back here. This further region on the southeastern area of the sun, looks like there is a trail of complexity here following the main sunspot core. So that may amplify the flare potential here in the coming days. Also another sunspot area back on the eastern limb, just barely visible. That should increase here a little bit. I know these guys have lowered their flare threat, but I think I'm probably going to up mine a little bit here just due to the little bit more spikiness being observed here on the solar flare chart. That's a sign of, sunspot complexity issues there with the magnetic structure that produces the stronger flares. Looks like things have amplified a little bit. And looking at the visual complexity model there, showing that one sunspot way out there on the southeastern limb. Again, it looks like it's somewhat complex, so I'll be adjusting my solar flare activity here, forecast in just a few minutes. There's a coronal hole that's facing us, number 09 and 08. Potentially could enhance the solar wind stream here in a couple days once it arrives. I'm really not expecting anything major coming in here, just maybe some elevated aurora conditions there. Probably going to be, what's today, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe like on Thursday or so, Thursday evening. Not a whole lot happening right now, though, in terms of strong flaring or any major aurora type forecast here. Fairly minimal. A quick glance here at the close approach asteroids, at least 5 of them that they're reporting. Well, pretty quiet. Nothing of any noteworthy value. Everything's millions of miles away from the planet, so that is good, including this one right here. We don't want that anywhere near the planet. That's a 370-foot asteroid. That's a big one. Severe weather, non-existent. A lot of cold air in place, but not a whole lot of moisture involvement. As you can see, the blue ISO lines here indicating the colder air across the majority of the states. Only change coming up here towards the weekend is maybe some snow here across the Great Lakes states, over around Colorado. A little bit of moisture down south. Aside from that, just a lot of cold air sipping down here. And maybe a repeat of what we had here a few days ago down there in the South Texas area, Arkansas, Louisiana. Although this cold ice storm here is a little bit further south. So this is going to be something to watch as we head into early next week. Snow on the backside of that system, showing quite a bit of snow down into even central Texas. Ice, sleet, all that good stuff across the Gulf of Mexico. Good possibility. We'll have to keep an eye on that as that continues to evolve. West Coast, I wish I could say we got rain coming out here, but we don't. It's looking awfully dry out here. Even the Pacific Northwest only getting in on some very minimal moisture content. This goes almost all the way to the end of January. As you can see here, it's a stuck pattern, and I don't know if we're going to get out of it. Not looking good in terms of rainfall out there for California. And unfortunately, that's where I'm at as well. So I don't know. I mean, I like the sunshine, but it's winter. It's supposed to be rainy here. That auto fire that started up there yesterday looks like that's under control. 100% containment. Some of these hotspot readings here that's being picked up may be a little bit older, or just some residual hotspot activity, and there may be some smoldering stuff, but it says 100% containment here, 55 acres. The Palisades fire down here across Malibu, that is still burning out there, 17% containment. I'm not seeing any hotspot areas, though. And that is good news. Crystal clear skies out there, it looks like. That is even better news. Yeah, I don't see anything out there. I was looking towards the Pacific here from one of the towers. So hopefully everything's, it may not be contained, but for right now, it looks like the majority of it's out. I know we got some wind stirring up here today across the area, but I don't see any hot spots out there, and that's good news for the Palisades fire. The Eaton fire, same thing, no hot spots being observed. 35% containment, 14,000 acres burned. A glance here at the tower view of that general area. Shows some smoggy conditions. There's going to be some smog and whatnot across that area. But far as the any visible fire activity burning, I'm like I said, I'm really not seeing it out there. So that is good news. Hopefully they get the 100% containment on that. Hearst fire up here is about 97% containment, just about out. Really no new fires starting out here for now around the Los Angeles area. Quick glance here at the windy models. Let's see if I can find it here. There we go. Oh. little bit of wind out there. Not too strong. I mean, up in the mountains, yes, 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts it looks like. But around the Malibu area, a little bit lighter. That may increase a little bit this afternoon. Tomorrow looks a little bit windy out there as well with some stronger wind gusts. Just going to be an off and on deal here, but man, I'm hopeful that this is the end of the ordeal, pending no new fires start. As you know, I don't see any visible fires out there across the cameras in the Palisades fire, or any hot spots being observed. So that is good news. For now, you know, it's unfortunately the destruction is done, but getting containment of that is a good thing. So California definitely lighten up out here. Northern end, Bay Area. Got some movement out here in the Bakersfield area as well since I've started this update. 2 earthquakes coming in, a 2.2 and a 1.6. This is a region that had a 5-pointer last year, along with elevated magnitude 4 events out here. So things are starting to pressurize out here across the West Coast. A couple more earthquakes as well around the San Jacinto fault zone, or fault system. I'll get with it. Oh. I'm ready to be back to normal. I'm tired of the sickness. I'm not even joking. It's been a year of not good. And we like to keep the windows open. I mean, we don't have the smoke that Southern California is getting, but I like to keep the windows open, keep the clear air moving through the house, even more so when people are sick. But it's inevitable. It seems like it's destined to get you no matter what. You know, even if you're wrapped in bubble wrap here, I'd probably still get it. So I can only do so much living in, you know, close quarters here. All right. Yeah, live stream is back up and running, folks. We'll keep an eye on things. We do have a number of seismograph stations out here going around the globe, including the Petrolia station there. Notice an earthquake shown in at just before 1950, so just before 1150. That's not going to be this earthquake. This 2.4 is at 1118. So there is another earthquake coming in, not showing up on the nearby Dinsmore station, but it looks like they have a little separate earthquake activity themselves. Parkfield area getting some earthquake activity. China Lake as well. So all these are California stations, and they're on the move. Earthquakes are happening there across various seismograph stations out here across the West Coast. And that means that things are starting to adjust and pressurize, and that's when things start to kick up in terms of earthquake potential. So just be on guard out there today. We'll catch you guys out here a little bit later on this evening. Make sure you guys like, subscribe while you're here if you want to, if you like our videos, and please share to get this information out. And of course, the member drawing is coming up here tomorrow. I'll be doing it live, regardless if I'm sick or not. I always try to stick to it. We'll give a shout out to the members later tonight if I can remember. I always try to. And aside from that, we'll see you guys back out here later tonight there for the Tuesday night update. Stay safe out there.